Hello students, as we know that in the entire process of reproduction, that is formation of a new life, the role of the mother or female is more when compared to the male partner, right? The male just helps in insemination, nothing but depositing the semen into the vagina of the female. Later, if you go through the role of a female in the reproduction process, she is not just involved in the production of ova, she also carries the baby for a period of 9 months. That means in her uterus, in her womb, she provides the area for the development of the embryo, right? So by this we can understand here that the female, along with producing ova by the process of oogenesis, she has to prepare her uterus for the growth of the child, to give an area for the development of the baby. So already in the previous lecture, we completed the study of oogenesis, how ova or the oocyte is formed, right? Today's session, we are discussing how the female prepares her uterus to provide the space for the development of the embryo, and for that every month she shows a cycle or a cyclic change that is called what? Menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle in which menses refers to, okay, what? Menses refers to monthly, as the change occur in her uterus is a monthly change. It is called what? Menstrual cycle, or this cycle is also called uterine cycle. Why? The reason is majority of the changes that occur in the menstrual cycle is confined to uterus. Definitely some changes are seen in the ovary also, but as major changes are seen in the uterus, we call menstrual cycle also as uterine cycle. It is a 5-mark question. Suppose if they ask you a question, write a note on ovarian cycle, what you will write? Can you think? Ovarian cycle, nothing but major changes seen in the ovary, nothing but what? Oogenesis process. So remember what we discussed in the previous lecture, the oogenesis process can be also called ovarian cycle, whereas menstrual cycle can be called uterine cycle. Then what is menstrual cycle? It is a series of events that occur in the reproductive system of female primate. I repeat, it is the series of events that occur in the reproductive system of whom? Reproductive system of female primates at an interval of 28 days. At an interval of 28 days is called menstrual cycle. Female primates means in case of apes, monkeys, right? And even in the humans. In apes, monkeys and human females exhibit a monthly change in their uterus that is called menstrual cycle. And I'm sure you already know that. What about in case of non-primate female? Non-primate female. Non-primate means other than primates, like what about in case of cattle, dog, lion, tiger, elephant, that you have studied in the chapter reproduction in organisms. The non-primate female, instead of menstrual cycle, they exhibit what? They exhibit estrus cycle, right, which is also called heat period. In case of cattle, goat and other, right, non-primates, according to the environmental influence at a particular season, in those females estrogen hormone level increases. There is a surge in the estrogen hormone level, because of which ovulation occur. Due to the surge of estrogen, In that particular season, due to the environmental effect, what happens? The ovulation occur along with causing the strong sexual desire in the female, because of which she allows the male to mate or copulate. That is also called heat period. But in this class, I am only restricting myself to in the study of which one? Menstrual cycle, which occur in the female primates like human females, monkey females, the ape females like gorillas, etc. Is that clear? Now, it occurs for an interval of 28 days. Whether it is fixed for 28 days? No. It is not a fixed cycle. Just for our study convenience, we take this period. Usually, it vary between 28 to 32 days. Remember that it is not a fixed cycle. It will vary between 28 to 32. Nama study convenience goskara, we consider it for how many days? 28 days. The first menstrual cycle in the human female begins by the age of 12 to 15 year and is called menarche. 1 mark question. What is menarche? The beginning of the menstrual cycle in human female by the age of 12 to 15 year is called menarche. It occurs every month. It occurs every month throughout the life of the female by the age of 45 to 50 year. Okay, the menstrual cycle will cease. Menstrual cycle will stop. Ceasing of the menstrual cycle by the age of 45 to 50 year is called 1 mark question. What? Menopause. Is called menopause. Don't just write stopping. It is the ceasing of the menstrual cycle by the age of 45 to 50 year. Is that clear? And very important, this menstrual cycle, as I told you, it is a monthly cycle which occur every month in the human female. So, right? And the menstruation process, what is there? It occurs only when the produced ova is not fertilized. I repeat the meaning of this. She has produced the oocyte that has reached ampullary region. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಆ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆದ ಓವಾ ಅಥವಾ oocyte ಏನು ಇದೆ, ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸ್ಡ್, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗದಿದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್? ಮೆನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರುವೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಇನ್ ಅ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಮೆನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರುವೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮೆನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರುವೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಶಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ದ oocyte, okay, which reached the ampulla, which has undergone fertilization. ಅವಳು ಸೆಕ್ಚುವಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾಳೆ, fertilization ಆಗಿದೆ. In her next month, right, can menstrual cycle be expected? No. If the ova is fertilized, there is no menstruation in the next month. Instead, it will continue into pregnancy. If the released ova or the oocyte is not fertilized, then only what happens? Next month menstruation will occur. Is that clear? I repeat the statement. In a regularly menstruating female, if she undergo coitus or the sexual act, if there is fertilization, if there is no menstruation in the next month, that means she has undergone pregnancy. Is that clear? Absence of menstruation could be an indication of what? Pregnancy. But very important, in some female, what happens? Due to stress, due to some environmental reasons, or due to some hormonal influences or the changes, next month menstruation can be delayed or may not occur. In that case, we cannot call she is undergone pregnancy. Yes, this is the main concept. Now, let us consider for our study convenience the menstrual cycle for a period of how many days? 28 days. The 28-day menstrual cycle is divided into 4 phases. They are, the first one is menstrual phase. Okay, the first one is menstrual phase. The second one is follicular phase. It is a very important 5-mark question, or it is also called proliferative phase. The third one is ovulatory phase. Okay, and the fourth one is luteal phase, or it is also called secretory phase. Okay, the menstrual cycle is divided into 4 phases. I will go in brief, very simple concept. Now, out of the 28 days, the first 1 to 5 days of the cycle is menstrual phase. Point number 1, it occurs between 1 to 5 days of the cycle. Point number 2, during this period, what happens is the innermost layer in the wall of the uterus, which is the outermost layer, perimetrium, middle myometrium, inner endometrium. I'm sure you know that this endometrium, the innermost is endometrium. During this period, the endometrium will rupture. Point number 2, degeneration of the endometrium takes place. The ruptured endometrium go out as a menstrual flow. That is point number 2. Rupturing of the or degeneration of the endometrium occurs. Okay. Now ask the question, why endometrium broken down or degenerated? The answer is due to the third line, due to sudden decrease in progesterone hormone and estrogen hormone. Is that clear? How? That I will tell you. Okay, due to sudden decrease in progesterone and estrogen, first give importance to progesterone. What happens? The endometrium will rupture and go out as a menstrual flow. As menstrual bleeding occur during this period, the phase is called bleeding period. Okay, and one more very important thing, whenever there is a cut in the body, anywhere, male or a female, to prevent the loss of the blood, we exhibit a phenomena called what? Blood clotting. Here also the blood is going out. This menstrual flow contain around 65 ml of blood is present. Some tissue pieces are present. Some other debris are also going out. My question is, do this menstrual flow going out through vagina, do it clot? Answer is no. Why? Due to the presence of fibrinolysin enzyme. ಯಾವುದು? ಫೈಬ್ರಿನೋಲೈಸಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಮೆನಸ್ಟ್ರುವಲ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕ್ಲಾಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಔಟ್. Hence, this entire phase can be also called bleeding period. Okay, next, followed by that, the second one is follicular phase, also called proliferative phase. It occurs from day 6 to 13th day of the menstrual cycle. That is point number 1. Point number 2, just to understand the concept, I will enlarge the structure of this ovary. Very simple. Point number 2, during this period, try to understand primary follicle that I taught you in my last lecture. Do you remember? In which a primary oocyte covered by a single layer of granulosa cell. The primary oocyte transform into secondary oocyte, which further grows into what? Primary follicle grows into secondary follicle. Secondary follicle grows into tertiary follicle. This tertiary follicle finally grows into a mature follicle called what? Graphian follicle. Inside this follicle, there is what? Secondary oocyte is present. The growth of the follicle occur under the influence of which hormone? FSH, which is released from her anterior pituitary. I repeat, during this period, due to the release of FSH. What is FSH? Follicle stimulating hormone that helps in the transformation of primary follicle into a mature Graafian follicle. As follicular transformation occur from day 6 to 13, the phase is called what? Follicular phase. Continuous agi FSH stimulate ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Is that clear? Hence the phase is called follicular phase. The very important point that we have already discussed, as primary follicle grow into secondary to tertiary to Graafian follicle, number of granulosa cells also what happens? Increases. One of the function of granulosa is to produce which hormone? Estrogen. When a primary follicle grow into secondary follicle, the which hormone will be produced? Estrogen. Day by day, the level of which one? Estrogen in her blood increases. Dear students, this is a very important concept. Try to understand it. What we discussed in the previous class, the oogenesis process, where primary follicle transforms into Graafian follicle. ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಉಂಟಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆ ಎಂಟೈರ್ process ಅನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೇನೆ. Okay, that entire process will occur from day 6 to 13. Number of granulosa cell increases from day 6 to 13. They produce estrogen. Day by day in her blood, estrogen level what happens? Increases. This estrogen, okay, gives, already I told you, this estrogen perform two function. Number one, it gives positive feedback to anterior pituitary to release which hormone? LH. Try to assume from day 6, 7, 8 around, okay, secondary follicle is formed. Estrogen level in her blood increase. Okay, estrogen gives positive feedback. If you check her blood, LH level increase. 8th, 9th, 10th day, it is transformed to tertiary follicle. Estrogen level increase, gives positive feedback. LH level increase. When it is transformed to Graafian follicle, estrogen level increases, LH level also increases. The very peculiar feature is, as estrogen level increases, it gives positive feedback. Check hormonal regulation of oogenesis. There I have given the point, okay. It gives positive feedback to release more and more what? More and more LH. And this LH will attain maximum on 14th day of the menstrual cycle. If you check her blood from first day to second day to 13th day to 14th day, the LH level will be maximum ಯಾವತ್ತು 14th day, and that condition is called LH surge, right? What do you mean by surge? Increase. There is surge in the corona cases in Karnataka today ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸರ್ಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಯಾವ ದಿನ 14th day ಅವಳ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ LH ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಪೀಕ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, that condition is called LH surge. Is that clear? The second function of the estrogen is it helps in regeneration of, or in bracket you can write down, proliferation of. Proliferation nothing but not degeneration, regeneration, reformation of, okay, what? Reformation of once again endometrium. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅವಳ ಜಾಬ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಹೋಪ್, ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆದರೆ ಯುಟೆರಸ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ? ಇಂಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಷನಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ, ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬೇಬಿ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಈಸ್ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ helps in regeneration or proliferation of the endometrium. That's why the phase is called proliferative phase. That's it. Third one is ovulatory phase, which occur on 14th day. On 14th day, LH hormone attains peak level, maximum, and the condition is called LH surge. Very important, dear students, try to understand. The LH surge, the highest concentration of LH, trigger Graafian follicle to rupture. Graafian follicle will rupture, and what is expelled? Secondary oocyte is expelled. You know, this secondary oocyte is still covered by what? Zona pellucida. Okay, and few layer of granulosa cells are still present, and these granulosa cells which are in contact with zona pellucida are called corona radiata. I repeat, on 14th day, due to LH surge, Graafian follicle will rupture and release secondary oocyte by the process called ovulation. That's why the phase is called what? Ovulatory phase. The last one, luteal phase, also called secretory phase, which occur from day 15 to 28. Very simple. What happens during this period? Okay, the LH hormone, try to understand once again. The same, which hormone? LH hormone helps in the conversion of remainings of the Graafian follicle. If you just go to the previous page of your notes, right, you know that istu part Graafian follicle in the ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ antrum ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಉಳಿದಿದೆ, a fluid ಇದೆ, theca externa is here, theca interna is there, few granulosa cells also there. Try to understand. After ovulation, remainings of the Graafian follicle under the influence of LH converted to a new structure called, what is that called? Corpus luteum. Okay, what is that called? Corpus luteum. As corpus luteum is formed during this period, the phase is called what? Luteal phase. What is corpus callosum? Hope you know that. Okay, if you don't know, try to find the answer. What is corpus callosum? Very important. Gottirbeku. Where it is found? Check ಮಾಡಿ ಒಮ್ಮೆ. It is present in the brain. Okay, you have to find out the answer for that. Now anyhow, what is the job of corpus luteum during this period? Very simple. Corpus luteum, once again under the influence of which hormone? LH hormone, produces the pregnancy hormone called progesterone. One mark question, very important. Progesterone synthesis will be seen or begin in which phase of the menstrual cycle? Your answer is luteal phase or secretory phase. ಈ ಡೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಜೆಸ್ಟಿರಾನ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈಸ್ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಗ್ರಾಫಿಯನ್ ಫಾಲಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ರಪ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಗ್ರಾಫಿಯನ್ ಫಾಲಿಕಲ್ಲಿನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾನ್ಯುಲೋಸಾ ಸೆಲ್ಗಳು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಈಗ ಆ ಗ್ರಾಫಿಯನ್ ಫಾಲಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ರಪ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಡೇ 15 to 28, note that estrogen level comparatively decreases. Because of the formation of corpus luteum, progesterone synthesis, what happens? Increases. Clear? One mark question. Which structure will produce progesterone? Your answer is corpus luteum. Now the progesterone perform two function. I will write the function of the progesterone here. They include, number one, it gives negative feedback during which period? 15 to 28 days. It gives negative feedback and inhibit the production of FSH. At any cost during this period, FSH should not be released. The production of FSH should be prevented. So that is prevented by the negative feedback of progesterone. ಈಗ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್? ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್, Okay, if progesterone is not giving negative feedback, what happens is, okay, already the oocyte has reached ampullary region. Imagine it has fertilized. ಈ ಒಂದು 29th ಡೇ ಬರುವಾಗ ಇಂಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಗು ಬೆಳಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಎಫ್ ಎಸ್ ಎಚ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಈ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆದರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಶಿ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸಸ್ ಎಫ್ ಎಸ್ ಎಚ್, ವಾಟ್ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್? ದ ಎಫ್ ಎಸ್ ಎಚ್ ಮೇ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಅನದರ್ ovary to produce one more ova. If that also fertilizes, complication in the pregnancy. So dear students, during this period of time, at any cost, what should not be produced? FSH, that is inhibited by progesterone by giving negative feedback. The second function is it helps in further thickening of endometrium. Okay, further thickening of endometrium. Few days back, that is from day 60-13, the thickening or regeneration of the endometrium that was done by estrogen. But when it comes to luteal phase, estrogen level decreases. Who will come into forward? Progesterone will come forward, and progesterone maintains the entire endometrium along with bringing its thickness. ಕೇವಲ ಇದನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯೂಟಿಯಲ್ ಫೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಈಸ್ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಈಸ್ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ took the contract of thickening of the endometrium. But during this period, as estrogen decreases, who will come into forward? Progesterone, that along with maintaining endometrium, it also helps in the further thickening of the endometrium. That is the another function of progesterone. By the time of 25 to 28 days, last line dear students, if the produced oocyte which has reached ampullary region, if it is not fertilized, ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ fertilization ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾದರೆ, automatically gradually what happens is production of LH decreases. Point number 2, this corpus luteum will undergo degeneration. By 28 days, if the produced oocyte is not fertilized, corpus luteum undergo degeneration into a degenerated form. That degenerated form is called corpus albicans. Need not to write in the board's exam. It is just for your reference. Is that clear? Now, I will go through this once again. Very simple. It is a series of events that occur in the reproductive system of female primate at an interval of 28 days. The 28 days menstrual cycle is divided into 4 phases. Number 1, menstrual phase. It lasts from point number 1 to 5 day of the cycle. Make the notes, okay? Point number 2, during this period, due to sudden decrease in progesterone and estrogen, give more importance to progesterone, okay? Progesterone and estrogen, the superficial layer of the endometrium ruptures. Superficial layer of endometrium degenerates and goes out as a menstrual flow. That's why the phase is called bleeding period. Menstrual flow contains around 65 ml of blood. Tissue pieces, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ endometrium is a tissue, the tissue pieces are there, other debris are present. Note, neat point, menstrual flow will not clot due to the presence of fibrinolysin enzyme. Is that clear? Number 2, follicular phase or proliferative phase lasts from 6 to 13th day. Point number 1. Point number 2, during this period, transformation of primary follicle to mature Graafian follicle occur under the influence of FSH. Hence, it is called follicular phase. Next line, point number 3. The growing follicle produces estrogen hormone. Next line. This estrogen performs two functions. Number 1, it gives positive feedback to anterior pituitary to release LH. Number 2, it helps in regeneration of rebuilding of the endometrium. Puna build ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ help ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Is that clear? Now, number 3, ovulatory phase. Point number 1, it occurs on 14th day of the cycle. Next line, during this period, LH hormone level attains maximum and is called LH surge. Clear? The LH surge trigger the Graafian follicle to rupture and expel the secondary oocyte by process called ovulation. Hence it is called ovulatory phase. Okay. Next, which one? Luteal phase or secretory phase. Point number 1, it occurs between 15 to 28 days of the cycle. Point number 2, during this period, remainings of the Graafian follicle ಅಥವಾ ruptured Graafian follicle are converted to corpus luteum under the influence of LH. Next line, corpus luteum secrete progesterone hormone. 1 mark question. Progesterone perform 2 function. Number 1, it gives negative feedback and stop producing FSH. Number 2, it helps in further thickening of the endometrium. If the released oocyte is fertilized, in the next month there is no menstrual cycle, corpus luteum will survive, she will continue into pregnancy. Next line, if the released oocyte is not fertilized, okay, corpus luteum will degenerate into corpus albicans, due to which the progesterone synthesis decreases. She again follow which one? Menstrual phase. This is all about a 5 mark question called what? Menstrual cycle. Okay, first time if you don't understand, repeat the video and listen to it carefully. This is the basic for my next concept of fertilization and implantation. And one more thing, the intention of menstrual cycle every month is to prepare her uterus. At the end of the month, if there is no fertilization, she shed her endometrium. Next month, once again, she prepare her what? Uterus for the growth of the baby. Few very important clinical terms. Okay, write down, take it as a note. This is very important clinical term. Number 1, what is menorrhea? The normal menstrual cycle is called menorrhea. Okay. Number 2, amenorrhea. amenorrhea. What is amenorrhea? Absence of menstrual cycle, not abnormal. See, what is menorrhea? Normal menstrual cycle. What is amenorrhea? Absence of menstrual cycle. Okay, not abnormal. Confuse agbedi. This term is very, very important. Number 3, menorrhagia. Okay, excessive menstrual bleeding. Of course, menstrual flow ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ menstrual flow ಅಲ್ಲಿ 65 ml of blood ಇರಬಹುದು. If it exceeds more than 100 ml, if more and more blood is going out through vagina, excessive menstrual bleeding is called what? Menorrhagia. Okay, number 4, dysmenorrhea. dysmeno means painful menstrual cycle. Dysmenorrhea refers to painful menstrual cycle.